Okay, so in today's video, I want to share with you why I think the Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 Lite is still the best all-around mid-range tablet out there. Now, if you've been following the channel for a while, then you probably know that this guy here is still one of my favorite tablets here, despite owning quite a few tablets that include multiple premium tablets. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Now, let's go ahead and start off with an exercise. And what I want you to do, well, actually, forget the exercise, right? Let's start off by just making something clear, right? So when I say that, you know, in my humble opinion, this is the best all-around mid-range tablet, I don't mean that this is the cheapest tablet that you could get out there, because I know every now and then, not that I know, every now and then I get comments from people saying, hey, why do you say that that's, you know, the best mid-range tablet out there? You know, that other tablet is cheaper than this, or this other tablet is cheap. It's not about being cheaper, right? It's all about that ratio. It's about the price to specs ratio, or price to performance ratio, or even better, just price to overall tablet experience ratio. And in my humble opinion, I think the Tab S6 Lite offers a combo of all those three, you know, to that price. You know, the ratio of the price to performance, the price to specs, and price to just overall experience. Because we're talking about Samsung, a very established company that, you know, owns and pushes a very robust ecosystem in which you can actually enjoy all of the features that this baby right here offer. And of course, that's not to say that it's a perfect tablet. There is no perfect tablet, right? So a bunch of compromises were made in order to create this baby right here. You know, it's not a productivity tablet. It's not a budget tablet. They, you know, Samsung tried to calibrate it and put it right in the middle of the spectrum of, you know, premium versus budget tablet. But anyway, oh, by the way, kudos to a lot of those people who watched the very first videos that I made on this tablet sometime last year, I think, and went out there and paid like $220 or $230. But this guy is still so very popular that Samsung keeps going back to the original price tag, which is $350. That's just how popular this guy is, and with reason, right? It's popular because it's a good tablet for something that is priced at $350. Actually, that's one of the things that Samsung did right with this tablet. Well, that's the main thing that they did with this tablet, because if you see what happened with the Galaxy Tab S7 FE, which is supposed to be another mid-range tablet, it's priced pretty wrong. I know I keep bringing it up. It just, I can't let it go. But anyway, it's just not priced appropriately, and that's the reason it's unpopular, right? Anyway, so as I mentioned earlier, quite a few compromises here. Lots of good things, you know, some bad things. Of course, if you're paying $350 for a tablet, you wouldn't be expecting for it to perform like a Galaxy Tab S7 or S7 Plus, which are productivity tablet, and that actually costs a lot more money. So why don't we go ahead and start off with just the design, right? It's supposed to be kind of a lower mid-range level of tablet, but it's built like a premium tablet. You know, it's very dense, you know, it has some weight to it, but you can whip it around. It's not too huge. It's a 10.4 inches TFT display here, just a premium build, very sleek. You know, it has that modern look to it, and it's an all aluminum frame here, unibody frame here, and makes it look just very cool. And it's also pretty well balanced, right? So if we want to go around here real quick, taking a look at some of the physical features we have on this tablet, you would have your typical, you know, power button, volume rocker, and things like that. At the top here, we have a headphone jack, which is something that is disappearing. You know, it's always nice to have a headphone jack on your tablet there. You would have your speakers. We have a dual speaker setup here, and these are tuned by AKG. So the sound coming out of here is actually very full, and at the same time, pretty crisp. Very, very good sound coming out of this. Really nice, you know, when watching movies or even just listening to music. So just really good for entertainment. And that is also coupled with that display, right? So the display here is a TFT display, and the resolution is 1600 by 2000. Very nice screen. And as I mentioned, if you're watching a movie, coupled with those speakers there, very enjoyable. On the back, you have the main camera, which is an 8 megapixel camera. Now, by no means this is a top level camera or a top tier camera, but then again, many people, or most people, carry a phone Samsung that would generally have a better camera, right? So when you have this, it's as long as the setting is wet lit, you should be good. At the front there, you have a 5 megapixel front-facing camera, or selfie camera, if you want to call that. It's also great for video calls, Zoom and things like that, chatting with family, friends, and coworkers, whatever the case may be. As long as, it's a well-lit environment, you should be just fine. At the bottom, we have a USB Type-C port here. Now, the one thing I want to make sure that I highlight here is that it's great to have that. The one thing that I want to bring up here is the fact that you cannot push video signal out of this. Meaning, if you're using Samsung DeX, for example, you won't be able to push your content out of this into an external monitor. Now, not a lot of people do that, but for people who are looking for, high productivity type of devices, they would generally check to see if they're able to extend, whatever the content may be to an external display, right? But again, like I said, most people who buy this tablet don't generally care for that. And that is pretty much it as far as the physical features go. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the internals, right? And before we do so, if this is your first time visiting, well, welcome to the channel, of course. I'm certainly hoping that so far you are enjoying the content. And if you are, I truly appreciate that. Please do me a huge favor. Hit both the like and the subscribe button there. It's a huge boost to this channel here. And again, I truly appreciate that. It helps the algo know that videos like this one actually help people out there. All right, so let's go ahead and talk specs and performance. I want to start off with the chipset that you have here. It's an Exynos chipset, Exynos 9611. Now, if you're not familiar with chipsets in general, or with just processing power and things like that, just know that it's a decent, it's kind of like a mid-range chipset. Now, even though some people might say, well, today's mid-range chipset are faster than that, that is the case, but this is still considered a mid-range chipset. Again, you have to keep in mind, this is not a productivity tablet. So when you go too far into or too deep into productivity, then of course you start encountering lag and all that good stuff. But anyway, continuing with the specs here, so that Exynos 9611 is coupled with 4 gigs of RAM. The unit that I have here is the base model. It comes with 64 gigs of internal storage, but you have 4 gigs of RAM, which is actually pretty good when you handling, moderate level of productivity. It allows you to be able to toggle back and forth, in between multiple tabs, multiple apps and things like that without any issues. And that internal storage, that 64 gigs internal storage, is expandable using the micro SD card that I actually forgot to show. We have a micro SD card slot right here, so you can expand that internal storage at up to 1 terabyte using that micro SD card. And here's a kicker. Unlike on the A series, where you cannot move your apps to your SD card, to the micro SD card, with this tablet, you have the ability, even if you were to buy the 64 gigs, you could just buy an external micro SD card and be able to expand that storage and be able to download your applications and then move those apps to the storage, to the micro SD card that you stuck in it. That's something that you're no longer able to do with the newer generation of the A series made by Samsung. Now, my unit here is running Android 11, and of course you have One UI 3.1 sitting on top. So that's the skin that is sitting on that operating system. And I have to tell you again, day-to-day tasks, whether it be for school work or small business work or just admin work, you should be fine here. Or just everyday, day-to-day tasks, you should be fine here. Performance here is good for light, moderate, or even moderate to higher level of task or projects. You should be okay with that combo of that processing power that is offered here. In terms of gaming, you should be able to do some moderate level of gaming. This is not a productivity tablet, and it's also not a gaming tablet. That being said, as I mentioned, you are still able to play a lot of games here. Now, if you're planning on playing really heavy games on here, you will be disappointed. Or if you're planning on, editing 8K videos, this is not the guy for you. Now, the next thing I want to talk about here is one of the biggest appeals of this tablet. It's the Samsung S Pen. Now, Samsung S Pens are just known in general for being very, very good styluses for tablets. And you get one with this tablet for free. So at $350, you get the tablet and you also get a stylus here. And of course, you get all of the standard features that come along with the Samsung S Pen, right? So whether it be to just copy and paste tons of features, right? Turning your simple text to animated text. You have the Smart Select tool, which kind of allows you to crop and copy and paste images in text or emails. Very, very cool stuff for people who are students and even for artists, right? So for artists who are not looking to spend a ton of money, maybe they just want something very simple, maybe to get started before they move on to something a lot more sophisticated, they can go for something like this, because this thing here has an amazing level of feedback. The feedback that you get here, I always talk about the feedback because that's one of my favorite things about S Pens, right? So whether it's just taking down notes, and everyone says it, everyone that has ever used an S Pen, same with drawing, right? You know, some people are, you know, maybe concerned because the nib on here is pretty thin and it's a fine nib, and people think that maybe for like the tilt function when drawing it won't work, but trust me when I tell you this, it works just fine. I'm not an artist, but I definitely tested it out and it works just fine. Now let's go ahead and talk battery. Samsung advertises, I believe, 13 hours of battery life, you know, 13 hours play time, you know, for that battery, out of that battery life. Obviously that's going to be subjective to your type of usage. I know when it was, and I'm talking about when it's brand new, of course, you know, over time as you use, you know, it degrades and you get less and less. But I remember that when this was brand new, sometime last year, I was getting about 11 hours. Now this wasn't meant to be a full review of the Galaxy Tab S6 Lite here. I've actually done it more than a couple of times. I've done a full review and I've also done kind of like an update on that. So make sure to check out those videos if you're looking for more information on this tablet. If you are in the market right now for a mid-range tablet, make sure to watch many of the videos that I've made on some of the mid-range tablets that I've owned, whether it be this one right here, the Tab S6 Lite, or the Tab S7 FE, which is supposed to be a mid-range tablet, but just not priced correctly. So you have that, you have the Galaxy Tab S5e and much more. But anyway, if you have any questions, make sure to put those in the comment section. Again, this remains one of my most recommended tablets. Anyway, I'm going to catch you in the comment section. I'm also going to catch you in the next video. As always, of course, don't forget to go check out those other videos. Make sure also to subscribe. I'm pretty sure I said that already. I'm going to catch you in the next video. As always, of course, stay safe out there.